All right, we're going to do 3 demonstrations. I'm going to do them one after the other. I'm just going to ask you to pay close attention, watch carefully as we do them. The first use case is an online retailer who sells diapers. And I'm going to do a form for this online retailer that he or she will use to capture information about clients and potential clients, capture their orders, right? This form can be filled by an external person because her set of customers are people who are educated enough, they have cell phones, they have smartphones, and they can follow instructions. And we're just going to design a form that makes sense, for collecting that information. When I do this, at the end of that first demo, we ask 1 or 2 questions, then we do the second one, the third one, then we'll proceed in the course. All right. Okay, so let's just go over to Google Forms. Are we good? We're good. Okay, so this is my landing page. This is to get here. What I will do is to say forms.google.com and I'll press enter and I land here. Now you notice that this works very fine for me because I'm already logged in on Google, right? If you're not logged in, it will probably prompt you for your credentials, and you provide your Google credentials. When I say your Google credentials, it's the same username and password that you use to log into your Gmail. And because this is a Google product, it is essentially most effective with your Gmail account. So because I'm already logged in, I was not prompted for my credentials. So what this means is that this information that you see here is mine and mine alone. It doesn't belong to any other person. If I switch accounts, if I maybe open another account, I'm going to see something completely different. This is another account. This is start with 5. So it's completely different. So nobody else can see your forms except you share it with them. So if you look down at my interface here, you see all these belong to me. And I can also view forms that don't belong to me, but were shared with me by someone else, right? I can view all forms owned by anyone. So, but the point I'm making here is that this is your landing page. It belongs to you. Whatever you have here is specific to you, right? So that, and it's within your Google account. So we're going to start with a demo. And the first use case, we're making a demo. Like I said, in this case, we just watch and learn. And then at the end of it, maybe I take 1 or 2 questions, then go to the next demo and so forth. We're making a form. Before I do that, let me just, take a bit of a tour, actually. So now on this point, on the left point, I hope everybody can see my mouse. Please just say yes in the chat. Just say yes in the chat. Okay, 1 minute, please. Let me just send this URL to. All right, everybody can see me. Yeah, sorry. Someone just said she couldn't find the meeting link. That is surprising, but it's one of the things we have to deal with. All right. Okay, so if you can see this, I'll deal with that later. If you can see this at the top left, you see the name of the form. Now, this name of the form refers to the name that you identify the form with. So this is diapers are us customer form, right? This is the name you identify the form with. Now, it can be different from the name that the customer sees. So you can decide that you just call this order form, right? Or diapers and ours order form, right? And in the interest of ensuring that my brand identity is maintained, I have a banner that I can include. I'll go to the top right. That is a button that tells me to customize the theme, which means I don't want to just leave it flat. I want to make sure that people are seeing my brand in this order form. So I go to there, and the first thing I like to do, I like to put a header image. So I'm going to pick an image header, upload one from my computer. Diapers are us. Okay, done. And it's going to look something like that. Okay. Now, when I upload an image, typically what happens is that Google suggests to me different color themes that can match that banner. I can decide to change to play around with it, the color themes. I can decide this pink, orange, and so forth. But I like this one, so I'll take this one. I can also decide to change the background, deepen it a bit, and make it this way, make it a middle ground, or just leave it that way, whichever one I like, right? So let me keep this one. So that's a little bit of branding around. I can decide to change the text, header text, and say, okay, I want something that looks maybe nicer, maybe aligned to my the fact that it's for babies, right? I can decide to focus on something that is baby-like if I want, but let me just I'll use this and then make it more readable with this. So you see, I selected two fonts, one for the header here, right? And another for the questions. And then there's a third one for the text, which means when you start typing here. So I can change that as well if I want, so, right? So once I have that, I can also select the sizes of each of these sections. The header can be 24. I can decide to increase the size of the question or the text if I want, but I think they're okay, 24, 12, 11, okay? So I'm going to, enter a few questions, but before that, let me go back to the settings of this form. Now, the settings of this form, there are a few things I may want to choose, whether it's a quiz, how to manage responses, presentation. I'll leave the quiz part because there's a section where we talk about quizzes for academic purposes. But let me just look at the responses. Now, I can decide to collect email addresses. I like to do this because that means I don't have to have a question that says, give me your email. I just say, collect email address. So the first landing page the person sees in this form is their email address. There will be cases where that is not what you want to do, or that option is there. Now I can also decide I want to send a copy of the response to them. Remember that this person is a retailer selling diapers. So the person who makes an order for a diaper may want to get a copy of their order, right? So that they have a record of what they actually ordered. Makes sense, right? Allow editing. We don't want to allow editing. We don't want to allow the person after submitting a response to now say, oh, I've changed my mind, because that may be a little confusing for us. Limit to one response. We don't want to limit it to one response. We want the person to be able to make multiple orders, right? This is the use case, okay? And then how is it presented to the person? I like to show the progress bar, and I will toggle this in the demo so that you see what this looks like when we have a progress bar and when we don't. So I'm going to turn off the progress bar. I'll ask you to, sample it, and then we'll turn it back on. Shuffle question order. I mean, we want the questions to be in a specific order, so we're not going to shuffle it. And then we can customize the message. You can say, instead of saying your response has been recorded, we can say, thank you for your order. We will reach out to you very shortly, or whatever else you want to do. Then you put what diapers are us, right? Well, good. Save. Then do we want the customer to see the summary of responses? No, we don't need that. We don't need the customer to see other people's responses. So we're not going to turn this on, right? And then, there are other options which I will go into in later iterations. So let's go back to the questions we're going to ask. What questions do we need to know about? If you are a retailer, think about it. What questions do we need to ask? I'm going to put in a few. Now, we can ask for the name of the person, right? I like to break first name and last name because of managing the data, purpose of managing the data and doing other things. For example, welcome, Reverend Ngobia, great to see you. Doing other things like sending messages. So I'll have a first name. Now I want to show you a few other aspects of this question. So question types using this first question, right? So that we can explore that. So I say first name. Now the first name is likely to be free text, because obviously I can't use a drop down for the person's name. So I want to make sure it's free text. It's a short answer. It's probably not going to be more than 50 characters. So Google gives me the default of a short answer. But if you look at this list, there are so many kinds of questions you can ask. Paragraphs, multiple choice, checkboxes, drop-down menus. And we're going to show all of these type of questions in different use cases. But for now, just know that these are different kind of possible questions, right? So I have a first name button. I definitely need the first name. So I'm going to make this a mandatory question. It's required. So when I select required, it means it's a mandatory question. I definitely need the first name. Now, I can decide to add another name question. I'm adding another question, and I want the question to be last name, right? It's also a short answer and it's required, right? etc. And I want to know the person's phone number. Now, some people don't like to give their phone numbers, so that I'm not going to make this question compulsory, right? Remember, we've already collected email address by setting the form to collect email addresses automatically. And then what else do we need to know? We need to know how many, of course, we need to know the location, a full address. Now, notice that I'm using simple, straightforward words for these questions. You can also decide to say, please tell us your name, your first name, and so forth to make it friendlier. But I mean, this is quite straightforward. All right, then full address. Then you also want to, why do we need the full address, right? We need the full address because we're going to do delivery. So we need to be aware of what you need. Remember when we did that concept. Then we probably need, what else do we need? We need to know how many children do you have? Now, who can tell me why I might need this? You can type in the chat. Who can tell me why I need this? Any guesses? Why would I need this for diaper sales? Why would I need this? Let me tell you why. Because I want to cross-sell. If this woman has one child, there is a probability that she's going to have another child. And let me tell you a quick story on that. A quick story. This is, okay, we're losing time. We're almost at an hour. A quick story is that some time ago, when I was in my former place of work, a certain woman, we had to go and buy clothes from a certain lady. And when we bought the clothes, we wrote down our names on a sheet of paper that she wasn't using Google Forms. She was using a piece of paper to capture our names. And the purchase was sponsored by my employer. So we used a voucher to make the purchase. 1 year later, she called us and asked whether we needed clothing. Why? Because she knew that our employer, sponsors us every year, and she had our contact. The mistake she made was that she waited 1 year to keep in touch. She could have kept in touch every month until that time so that we feel obliged to come back to her to purchase. So why do we need to know how many children this woman has, right? We need to know because if the person has one child, then we can guess that they are likely to have another child, and we can keep in touch so that when she has her second child, third child, she'll probably be our customer still. So that's why I put this question. And I will make that question a multiple choice question. I'll just make it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So are we following up to this point? Please let me know in the chat. Following up to this point. Sachidima, great to see you. Reverend Gobia, great to see you. Welcome. Are we following up to this point? We're doing the form for a retailer of diapers. So it's a use case, right? So we put it. Now, we also make this a required question, right? Of course, the person cannot have 2.5 children. So it's either 1 to 5. And if it's other, you can have an other. Maybe the person has a lot of children. But if the person has up to 5 children, chances are that she or he will not have another child. So that information is no longer useful to you. All right. So, but since it's a required question, you probably want to add others so that if the person has more than 5 children, they will have something to say for this question. So that's very important. Remember that. Okay, then we also want to know about the diapers. Okay, what brand or More volume, okay. Let me see whether I can do more volume. Where's my more volume settings? Okay, let me bring this closer. All right, is it better? 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 Brand of diapers. Do you prefer? Okay. I hope the volume is better. Okay. All right. So what are the brand of diapers we have? We probably have, let me see. Checking my notes. Okay. All right. So we probably have Pampers, right? Pampers, Huggies. I press the enter button to go to the next line. Just to let you know, I press the enter button to go to the next line. Cakeland, Bamboo. Then I probably want maybe other. I use an other, right? Add other. This, right? So, and then you probably want to know, what size of diapers do you prefer? Okay. What size, right? In this size, we're going to use check boxes. Who can tell me why we use check boxes? Size. Who can tell me why we use check boxes? Medium, large, extra. Okay. You can decide to make this full text so that it's more understandable, right? Remember customer experience. Large, extra large. Now, the truth is that some people may not even know their sizes. So maybe you do an order, or you have another way of telling them to call with you. So this is required. You can even add an option that says not, that says don't know, right? For their, so that in case they don't know, maybe you follow up with a call. So you don't push them away by the questions you're asking already. This is also required. Yeah. Okay. What else do they need to know? You need to know the desired type. Okay, so let's put the desired type. Let's say disposable, cloth, pull-up, pre-fold. Okay. And then maybe other. Right? We're good. Then I'm going to add another section here. Okay, let me leave the section. I'm going to ask you to experience the form. Then I'll make some more improvements on it. And then we experience it again very quickly and you see the difference. So if you want to send the form to respondents, what you do, you go to the top right and click send. When you click send, you will have several options of sending the form. One is via email, where you just put in the email addresses. I'm going to try that out, right? Or it's back. So I'm going to try that out. Forms. Let me pick. I'm going to pick all your email addresses and just fire it there. Okay.